Welcome back to All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia, where our guests are unique. Each auto has an era, and every car tells a story. So you know what time it is. It's time to plug in, get a little grease under the nails, and slip on that favorite car-themed t-shirt, hat, or jacket. And hey, you know what? We won't judge. If you've been wearing the same car-themed t-shirt for a week, I don't have a problem with it. I can't see you. It's going to be wonderful. Hey, welcome back to our listeners all over the world. You ready, Doug? This is my favorite part of the show here.
Do it.
Welcome back, our listeners in Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm originally from Louisiana, and we did a South Louisiana world tour. I'm going to say a couple of spring breaks ago, and went all through South Louisiana, an alligator tour in the swamps, and went to where they make Tabasco and New Iberia, Louisiana. Total trip, lots of fun. And hey, you got to pass through Lafayette to get there. So let's see, couple of places in Europe: Lundeburg in Lower Saxony. Try not to massacre this. Gothenburg, Vasta Gotland County, St. Michael's, Maryland, a little closer to home. Canyon Country, California. Erstwhile in Bern, and maybe the city of the day here is Cardiff. Cardiff. Why is Cardiff fitting for the show?
Well, the first three letters.
First three letters say it all. Cars loved, Cardiff. Now, if that, how sometimes they rename cities? If Cardiff ever wanted to become Cars Loved for a day, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't want to be against it. So at this point in time, let's bring in Doug. How you doing, partner?
Doing
What's
great.
going on there today?
Doing great. Great.
Love this shirt. Another Mazda shirt.
Yeah, I'm running out of Mazda RX-7 shirts. I'll have to get some more.
You ever go to a dealership and you go right in, and there are all the nice cars here, and then there's a glass case in the back with all the, the hats and shirts embroidered with the automotive, emblem and that sort of. Does anybody buy that ever? Have you ever bought anything from there like that?
Negative.
I'm not saying it's not great merchandise. I think it is. But always go back there, make note of it, and then I get, busy sidetrack looking at something else. So if you have ever bought anything from a dealership in that way, under that glass case, let us know. Firing off an email. Okay, so it's Christian@carslove.com, Doug at carslove.com. But I've been told that info@carslove.com works just as good. Is that correct?
It is.
Who is this guy, Info, and when did we hire him?
Don't pay attention.
Does he make more
Just
than
sign
me?
the check. Sign the check.
That's it. All right. And wanted to mention the website. We got something new going on there through the magic of Doug. Okay, so you can send us photos of you and your favorite car, and we'll put them on our site. And we have a bunch of photos there already. It's really neat. Yeah, we had the site redone a little while ago, and it's a carousel, right? So that's the tech term. So picture is that you'll see a picture of Doug and me, or several pictures of Doug. How about the pictures of you in that old Jeep? Are they up there?
No, I got to find those.
Okay, I can send them again.
It's
yeah,
okay.
talk a little bit about that.
I did put a couple pictures up of some track 914s from Dirk.
Ooh.
As well as
legend.
Another guest, Timothy.
Guy's a legend.
Dressed as a cone while he was managing the hot pit at a Porsche track event. He is literally dressed as a cone. Nobody will hit him.
Fantastic. Can't wait to see it. To see it. So, yeah, all right, carslove.com. Check it out, especially the photo carousel. Hey, if you want some of your photos turned up there, just email them along. We'll get them there. Also, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. It helps us grow. And leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. We sure would appreciate it. So I think that's all of the pre-flight stuff. Did I miss anything, Doug? Or is it time to talk about how did today's guest pull into our virtual garage?
Yeah. So today's guest, named Nigel Tunnacliffe. Yep.
Funnest last name to say in a while, by the by.
Tunnacliffe. He came to us I guess I would say his PR person.
Oh yeah.
The great thing is as the show's picked up
Yeah.
and we've had more guests and we've gotten better circulation, if you will, more downloads. We've had people coming to us. We're not always begging.
In fact, so yeah, lovely. So Nigel, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Doing awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So where are you these days? Where geographically are you on this planet?
I'm on an island outside of Seattle called Bainbridge Island, Washington.
Love it. So okay, so this might be the first show where we have East Coast, we have West Coast, and we have Gulf Coast. So thrilling, fantastic. Thank you. Welcome. And what is your project these days? What are you up to?
Yeah, I run a driving school called Coastline Academy, and it is a whole lot of fun. I started as a driving instructor, and we built the business to be coast to coast. We're not in the Gulf Coast yet, but we're coming.
Well, I got a 15-year-old, so I need you here ASAP, man. And you know what? My 17-year-old, my 18-year-old, my 20-year-old could use it too. So, yeah, you definitely have some repeat business here. And we were talking a little bit during the pre-show that, and that's one of the things I like about this show, is it really unlocks memories and just transports people back in time. In checking out your content, and yeah, definitely check them out we'll get you those coordinates in a minute. But if you go to his YouTube channel, there's a lot of really great content. And I was just transported back into high school in the basement of a building, watching all these videos of, what you should do during driving, what you shouldn't. I can't remember if I went out with a driving instructor, but I didn't feel very prepared for when I went and took my driving test. But when I think about what your company does, it's really kind of the model of standardize, modernize, evangelize. So you're taking all of these great teachings, and I think this is brilliant. It's tailored per state, and you have these driving instructors that come out, pick somebody up, and it's not in this old hoopty. It's not in this car from way back. It's a late model car, all the technology, second brake in the car so that the instructor is involved, cameras. It's such a different experience. Can you talk about why that's important now?
Yeah, I think, learning to drive has always been a big deal, right? It's challenging, it's dangerous. But I think more often now, young people, they get really nervous about this, and so anything we can do that makes this process something that's approachable, something they're comfortable with, providing that content on YouTube and TikTok and such like that to help, get some comfort with what they're about to take on, and then showing up in a new Corolla with a super friendly instructor. All of these things are things that kind of break down the barriers for what it takes for a young person to kind of feel comfortable enough to just embark on this journey.
Fantastic. And how did the idea hit you that, all right, you said you were a driving instructor, and what was the inception, the idea of, I have to do this on a bigger scale? And was that hard or easy?
Yeah, I think Steve Jobs has this great quote about you can only connect the dots in reverse. So, what actually happened was my co-founder and I decided we were going to start this business, Coastline, and our mission was to eradicate car crashes. But the business we were planning to start was actually a hardware business. We were going to make a hardware product for cars, and that was it was not working out. We had a prototype. Okay. We were doing our go-to-market. People weren't buying it. We're like, what are we going to do? And so we went back through all our user research, and we're just like, we got to pivot to something. What's it going to be? And there was this common thread through all of these families' experiences, families with new drivers in the household, that the learning to drive experience was it was like a casually provided service. A guy with a car, or a small business that, you got to bring cash when when you go to their office, all these kinds of things that.
A ton of variability. And from variability, you inevitably get defects. Okay. And since driving is one of the most dangerous things you will ever do on a daily basis, especially for a younger person. Yeah, you sense that. Yeah, please continue. Great story.
And so, we thought, okay, maybe we're going to do this. And so it just happened that like I grew up being an instructor, not a driving instructor. I ran a sailing school. I drove on the track. I had these like little bits of experiences. So when we decided, okay, we're actually going to pivot and we're going to build a driving school, we thought, all right, well, I guess step one is to get trained as a driving instructor and teach some young people how to drive.
Love it.
And so we started the business with just us as the instructors and built it up bit by bit. And it was actually an incredible experience. I
love that.
I love that time with these folks who are, they're coming in, they're kind of nervous, how's this going to go? Like, I finally took the step of signing up and I don't know. And then we work them through bit by bit until they have that aha moment. And then they're off. And what's really awesome now is I get to enable that experience for hundreds of thousands of kids. It's like perfect. Pretty cool.
That is great. Yeah. I know Doug wants
and their parents. And their parents love you guys because I could not wait to let somebody else teach my daughter how to drive.
Well, I mean, everybody brings a perspective. Everybody brings a tip. Yep. Everybody's got some little nugget of knowledge, especially driving, that can always move it forward. I know Doug wants to get into the discussion here, but I just want to, for our listeners, you got to check out coastlineacademy.com. coastlineacademy.com. Great website, ton of information. But also go to YouTube at Coastline Academy. Coastline Academy. There's so many good videos here, and that you can. And when my son gets home tonight, my 15-year-old, we're going to sit here and watch some of these videos together and spark that conversation. And yeah, we'll do a few laps around the parking lot here until Nigel opens a school down here. But all kind of great stuff here. So, and it's, I don't know if I said this before, but a lot of these lessons and a lot of the content is tailored by state, which is really important because they're variations on a theme, but they're rules you need to know nonetheless. So one of the videos is entitled Winter Weather Driving Tips to Stay Safe This Winter Season. Good stuff. I live in Florida. I haven't driven in the snow, thank goodness, for years since I moved down from the mid-Atlantic. But now that my son is up there, we need to talk about this stuff. Another great video, Don't Panic, Steps to Take After a Car Crash. Really good stuff. Okay, yeah. I've been in a few wrecks, unfortunately, myself, but the video does a good job of saying, look, you might be shaken, but you got to stop. You got to keep your wits about you. You got to communicate. If you're hurt, call the authorities, wait for a policeman. This is all good stuff. So talk a bit, Nigel, about how the YouTube channel started and how you get content up here. I think it's just expertly done.
Yeah, we started producing a little bit of content in the very early days. We were experimenting with different things. We were okay, what if we put a 360 camera in the car and drove around? We got some drone footage and stuff like that. And we thought, okay, this is gonna be great. Everyone's gonna watch it. But you know what actually people care about is just someone explaining stuff.
Yeah.
So as we went along and we got some of these just incredible instructors that just are excellent communicators, really engaging, we're just like, all right, let's just do 20 seconds for TikTok or 3 minutes for YouTube. Just explain something that's helpful. And so that's a lot of what we're doing now is just like these little snippets of something that's like, oh, how do you drive in the snow? Boom. Like that kind of thing. And it's I think people, it's resonating with folks.
Absolutely. And these aren't 2-hour videos. They're just a few minutes a pop, like Nigel was saying. And so, I can't wait to sit down with my son and we can just kind of watch it together, spark the conversation. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I guarantee you, when we're out on the road and this thing happens to us, we're both going to be thinking the same thing because we kind of started from here reading about it. What do you think, Doug? Hi, this is Christian with To All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I love this show so much, I wish it would come out weekly instead of bi-weekly? Well, guess what? You asked, we answered. Henceforth, that means from now on, you're going to get a piping hot new episode of To All the Cars I've Loved Before, weekly instead of bi-weekly. How do you like that? We will see you on your mobile telephone streaming device of choice weekly from now on.
I'm thinking I'm going to drag my daughter in front of YouTube and have her see the video.
It's good stuff. It's all good stuff. Yeah,
she's already had her first accident, but it wasn't her fault. But you know how it goes.
Well,
it does. It's your fault or not. It still shakes you. You know.
She was crying. Yeah. She called me. I just happened to be nearby. But what do you do when you're away? Right? Yeah. She's going off to college. Absolutely.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I know Doug wanted to get in the conversation here, or are we ready to hop back into the time machine? Your call, your play.
Yeah, time machine. We're going to have some fun.
And I'm sure the RX-7, whose shirt you're wearing, has got a flux capacitor tucked deep somewhere inside of the car. So, Nigel, we're going to put you in the Wayback, go 88 miles an hour. Let's talk about the first car you ever owned. What was it, and where did it come from?
Yeah, my first car was a Skoda 135 GLI. It was a short-lived model that it was made in Czechoslovakia, where
so it was made. I know it was a Czech company. It was made there too.
It was made there, yeah.
Gotcha.
And it had more cardboard in the dash and door cards than than other materials. It was made for the masses. But it was actually kind of a cool little car. You know, it's less than 100 horsepower, but mid-engine and just like super weird. And it was one of my neighbors had this, and his parents had brought it from Europe. And so like they had this for a while, and it was like they were getting rid of it. I bought it for $500 and I was so stoked. You know, I saved this money myself. I was 15 years old. I was like, yeah, I got my first car. Still about 6 months before I could get my license. And I was like, needed some work. So I brought it into the auto shop at my high school where I was taking shop class.
Nice.
Started tinkering with it and everything. Mm-hmm. And then just a few days before my 16th birthday, which was my first opportunity to get a license in British Columbia, Canada, my brother totaled it. So never quite got to
dagger.
So close.
I can feel the historical frustration from here. But I know Doug wants to geek out on the cars, but I got to squeeze in on the Skoda.
Yes.
When I learned that was your first car, I got really excited because we went to Ireland last summer, and Skodas were everywhere on the road. Drove around the whole country. There Renaults, Peugeots, a lot of Skodas. No American cars, obviously, but very sharp. So still smaller cars. I'm sure more than 100 horsepower now. And so we looked into it, and now Skoda is owned by Volkswagen. And I thought it was curious that the product line Skoda is second in profit margin only behind Porsche in the Volkswagen portfolio line of automobiles. So I thought that was interesting. Doesn't help you at all for your heartbreak going back to the car being smashed up, man. That's a bummer. We've never had a story like that.
This was definitely a pre-Volkswagen Group Skoda. It was built to serve the USSR with just cheap transportation.
At the end. Yep. Did you ever dream about or have the thought to go buy one and relive that? Or a more modern one, as Christian said, they still make them.
You know what? I totally, and actually in trying to find pictures for this show. I was going back through memory lane and thinking about this, like, oh man, that would be so cool. Like, what if I could get one of these, mid-engine, put like a, K24 in there, and like,
there you go.
Like, wow, how fun would that be? But they're exceedingly rare now. I don't think they were meant to last that long. And actually, the even though it was damaged, not like it wasn't like crumpled in half. It just it had enough damage that it was not worth repairing a $500 car. Someone drove 1,000 kilometers with a flatbed, picked it up, and towed it across the country because he was a collector. And so like people were into these, and there's still a few around, but it's pretty hard to track one down that's not full of rust.
Yeah. It just happened to be a neighbor. Otherwise, you never would have known about it, right? Versus this guy who's going to travel that far to pick it up and do something with it, right?
Yeah.
Make some good of it. Hopefully it's still on the road or lives on. Pieces of it have lived on in other Skodas, right? Do the transplants. And speaking of transplants, let's talk about your second car, which you actually had two second cars concurrently. Tell us about them, and I think one of them did have mini transplants.
It did, yeah. So the immediate replacement was a Mark I Jetta GLI, which was a really cool car. I would love to get my hands on one of those, or a Mark I GTI. It was just like, it had a lot of life to it, not crazy powerful, but it was light and small, and like it's just like a happy car. You get in, you press the gas, and it just kind of jumps to life. Like, and so that was like really the daily. And around that time, I also got a Mark I Toyota MR2, and that was like my enthusiast car. I was super into it, and that went through 5 engines under my ownership. Starting with the first one very soon after I bought it because it ran out of oil. I want to say not my fault, but I feel like everything's your fault if it's your own car. If it's leaking oil, that's not you got to own it. And then just first engine swap I did was a used engine from Japan. They come in these big crates, and it had like really loud ticking valves. As soon as I turned it over, like, oh shoot, okay, I don't want to deal with this. I'm gonna just pull it back out, send it back. They give me another one, try it again, and over the life we had to do a lot of work on that car.
Wow. That is something. And yeah, guts, and I guess the high school shop class probably helped you quite a bit.
Totally, yeah. And the MR2, Mark I MR2 is kind of cool because to swap the engine, the easiest way to do it is to support the engine from the bottom and then lift the car up, with use an engine lift, but you're lifting the chassis and it leaves the engine behind. It's like, yeah. I mean, I didn't know any different then, but now that would be a pretty funny way to do an engine swap.
Yep, and you didn't have to take the transaxle out to do it; just engine only.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of squeezed in there, but access wasn't terrible. And it came out pretty easy.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's the thing about mid-engine cars, right? They can be difficult to work on. That's what's kept me from buying a Honda Beat. That and parts availability.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, just trying to work on it. I don't know how you do it. So you've had so many cars. You were telling us in the pre-show about your Suzuki when I asked you what was your most dangerous car and why. So if you could regale us with that story. It's a great story.
So I got this Suzuki Forza. It was a mid 80s, and it had been built as a full track car. So it was roll cage, Lexan windows. The 3-cylinder engine had been bored out, and just a used Subaru turbo slapped on there, and it was this like, man, it was raw. No noise deadening, everything completely stripped, only one seat. And it was just such a hoot. And if I was, it, I would instruct my students today that this is not like a really great way to
do as I say, not as instructor does. Yeah, and yes, your instructor has a past, but yes.
But it was so light. Because it was completely stripped down. I think we figured it was probably around 1,500 pounds around there, and I mean it was no end of problems, right? I mean it was like way more power than this tiny little engine was supposed to take. I through cooling issues, I blew 2 turbos on there, and each time the compressor wheel would snap off and find its way into the muffler. And so we used to joke it had a twin turbine exhaust.
Nice. It made it all the way through. And you had that car in high school.
That was very beginning of college. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Right around the end of high school. Yeah.
Gotcha. How long did you keep that car for?
Probably about a year. Long enough that I had a lot of fun in it, and then realized that every third time you drive it, you got to fix something. It was like not super reliable transportation.
Yeah, and which of your cars, and maybe it was the Suzuki, got you into the track?
Yeah, that was my second Miata. I'd done autocross as a younger person, which was super fun with the I had an NC Miata
Nice.
and the MR2s. Those I did autocross in, which was a lot of fun. But it was when I moved to California and got the NB Miata that I sort of discovered the whole world of track driving, and that is addictive. Just there's so much to learn. It's so intense, and I just love it.
And that NB Miata, which I think you told us you sold somewhat recently, about a year ago.
Yep.
You did some work on that car too. Transplant from a totally other company, let alone built in the U.S., right? The engine. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, so it started. It was a wrecked car.
Okay.
So it had been written off, and I got it in its damaged state, towed it to my place. I did the work on it. Living in San Francisco, I rented a storage unit that was like one of these storage containers, and I put the car in there, and that was also my workshop. It was like a 20-foot storage container, shipping container. So fixed up all the damage, started driving it on the track, started wanting more power. So first I turboed it. Then I did a swap for this Chevy 2.4 liter Ecotec engine with just a tiny little turbo that was that I added. Then I blew that engine, unfortunately, and then I did the same engine but fully built, rods, pistons, fully port and polished head, like just threw everything at it, and slightly bigger turbo, and that was an absolute beast. It was like 2,500 RPM. It was 500 foot-pounds of torque. It was just a monster.
Yep. For the track, right?
For the track, yeah, exactly. So my home track at the time was Laguna Seca, and you got this uphill, and so I was always just like, I'm not that good of a driver, right? So you just think, oh, if I just had more power, then when I go up this hill, I'll be able to, I won't have this like, flat coming around the corner and then just thinking, come on, go faster as all the Porsches pass you. I was like, no, I want to go fast up that hill.
Yeah. And Laguna Seca was owned by Mazda, or still is?
It was sponsored for many years. Yeah. Now it's the WeatherTech
gotcha.
Raceway.
Gotcha. So it was good that the Miata was there and you got rid of it, and but you're no stranger to Miatas. I own 2. Sounds like you've owned at least 2 at this point.
I've had all 4 generations, actually.
All 4.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're currently on the ND, right? That's your current car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how does that compare to the other generations?
It is. I feel like they really perfected it with the ND, especially the ND2, where 180 brake horsepower. It's not like this is not a super powerful car, but that engine is great, and it's just such a joy to drive. Everything is really in balance. So I'm both tempted to start modifying it, and also every time I get in that car, it just makes me smile. It's not super stiff, it's not super powerful, but it's just really enjoyable to drive. And where I live, the highest speed limit is 35 miles an hour. So it's kind of like, it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, top down, it always feels like you're going faster.
Exactly.
For sure. Wow. Yeah.
And this is the RF too. So when the top's up, it actually looks really nice, and it's
nice.
a bit more dry. So yeah.
Yeah. The Targa, right?
Yeah.
The Targa of Miatas. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's a neat car. We had John Everett, who was a new product launch manager for Mazda USA, and he had a lot to do with the latest ND, like doing comparisons and working to launch that in the US. And he got to give some feedback back, and he got to drive like the last ND versus this new one before it came out, and did it back to back. And wow, I could just imagine doing that.
Great guy.
It was so cool. Yeah. I was listening to that episode when I was driving my ND in this twisty sort of mountain road, and I was just like, that was a joyous moment.
Comes together.
It all comes joyous together. For us to hear that story.
Yeah. That guy really knew his stuff. And talk about just the dream job where all of this guy's passions just sort of came together, and he had a smile on his face the whole time we were interviewing. He said, one happy dude, Doug. He was one happy dude.
Yeah. So what is is the Miata your daily driver?
I have I've got a Tesla Model 3 and I've got a Ford Maverick, and so because I got a kid, and we got stuff to move around, so I don't always get to drive the Miata. It's sort of like the only car that doesn't have a real purpose in my family fleet. But I get it. I whenever I'm driving by myself or just with my son, we always take the Miata.
Yep. Awesome.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. So let's see.
Did we talk about the Oldsmobile? How could we forget? No, we did. Sorry. Did we?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. So as we that actually is the perfect segue there. Yeah. As we guide the podcast gently to the off-ramp, Nigel, I have to ask you, speaking of, what do you have against Oldsmobiles, man? I'm a small car guy. I just love the feeling of getting into it. Like I'm 6'2", I'm not like a small guy, but when I fold into a little car, and it's basically just like the car is just wrapped around me, and you drive, and it just feels like, it just wants to jump when you hit go, and it wants to stop when you hit stop, and it turns sharply, all that kind of stuff. I love that. So getting into this big, huge Oldsmobile where you just wasn't for you. Just wasn't for you. Yeah.
Like 15 degrees in each direction, and it's just going straight. It's like
it was a boat. Yeah, those cars were just boats. Okay, so seriously, on the way out here, you mentioned shop class, and we see or for some reason I'm seeing a lot, maybe because I have kids that are kind of moving towards after high school, what are we going to do? And so I'm more aware of it. There's so much more focus these days on trades, on trade schools, on alternate ways. College doesn't have to be, the way to go. In other countries, in Europe, man, at 15, you were an apprentice, right? Making skills, get a job like that. That's a way to go. So I would like to hear, if you can, your top 3 moments from shop class, if you have them. What did you make? What do you remember? Who was your teacher? Who were your friends? Because you just, you're a tech executive. I get it. But you just like to do things with your hands.
Yeah, I spent more time in shop class than anything else in high school.
Oh, wow.
I found my way in, because it was always open, which was cool. I found my way in there all the time before school, lunchtime after school. Sometimes if I just ended up there instead of another class. Learning to weld was a really cool experience.
Fantastic.
And it's kind of the amazing thing was our shop teacher, he'd teach us how to do stuff, but it felt like there were no guardrails. And I'm sure that there were, but it was just like, okay, here's how you do it. Do hold this, shield your face, blah, blah, blah. All right, now go. I'm like holding this welder. I'm like, really? Like, I just get to do this now? It's so cool.
Fantastic.
So that was a top experience for sure. And then getting to work on my own cars, being able to just like have tons of space in the shop. You're like, oh, great. You want to bring a car in? All right, roll it into the corner there. Like, if it's going to be more than 2 months, let me know. It's got to be out of here before summer.
Love it.
Just go for it. That was
I like that.
Cool.
Great memories. Thank you for sharing that. Well, we have come to the end of our time, Nigel, but I have to tell everybody, very important mission. And let's see, as Nigel said it in the beginning, let's eradicate car crashes. How do you do that? How do you do that? You get them out, you get them on the road with someone that knows what they're doing. And we just had a blast getting to know you, Nigel. The company is Coastline Academy. Check them out, coastlineacademy.com. He is Nigel Tunnacliffe. Nigel, it was a distinct pleasure to meet you and have you on the show. Thank you for your time, and we wish you the best of everything.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Fantastic. You have just heard the high-revving, low-mileage, late-model, heard round-the-world authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. He's Doug. Reach him at doug@carslove.com. I'm Christian. Reach me at christian@carslove.com. He's Nigel Tunnacliffe. Check him out. And if you like what you're hearing, please follow and tell a friend. It helps us grow. Check us out at carslove.com. I am sure we'll see you at the next local car show, showroom, race strip, car museum, or concours. We appreciate your taking a lap with us, and we will see you next time